and reduce the kidney's ability to maintain the correct balance of electrolytes.
Can y'all hear that better?
Charged elements such as potassium, sodium, phosphorus, and chloride, which are essential for the normal function of every cell in the body. Check on those vulnerable to heat exhaustion, the elderly, for example. This is a hard one. Avoid alcohol. Drink water or sports drinks sweetened with natural juices. Exercise or work outdoors during cooler times of the year. Drink 2 cups of water 30 minutes before exercise. That concludes the safety minute. Thanks.
What about emergency if we have any of that?
Okay. If we have an emergency, our evacuation is out through the front door in the parking lot by the TV. If you need a restroom, you go out, hang a left. That's where our bathrooms are. And our AED is just outside this door on the left, just behind me. Thanks.
All right, while she's working on that, there's some new faces here that I've not seen. So that means if I haven't seen them, James hasn't seen them, and Blaine hasn't seen them and all that. So we'll go around and do introductions. And for the new ones here, I'll go ahead and set the ground rules for these meetings. These meetings are to come in if you have issues, bring them up. We're going to discuss them. We're going to try to work through them. If we can't work through them today, we'll set it up to where we can work through them. Don't come in here throwing anybody under the bus, running over them, backing back over them, pulling back up, pointing fingers or anything like that. So with that, again, if you have issues, we'll bring them up, we'll discuss them and go from there.
You always got to check to see if I have issues first. All right, this is James Graham with People on Natural Gas.
Don't have any issues, we'll get to them. Just say who you are.
But let me tell you, I'm trying to introduce myself. This is James Graham with People on Natural Gas, integrity program manager. I work with damage prevention.
I'm David Smith, damage prevention specialist at Charlotte Water.
Elizabeth Hunt was Sam and chair of the NCUCC.
Sam.
Lake with STS Cable Services and QMAC.
Tristan Daisley with the City of Charlotte Stormwater. Tyler Miles with Mark Radio.
We got some newbies here today. Everybody give them a hand.
Alex Hisman, Utility Partners of America, private located. Robert Newman, People on Natural Gas.
William Rodriguez, Travis Water. Ron Morehouse with SNN Infrastructure.
DM York Road, Ansco.
One dealership company.
Santiago Razo, Charlotte Water. Elijah Smith, Charlotte Water. Avery Haynes, Charlotte Water.
First meeting, I was
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yay, glad to have you.
Ray Smith,
Bo doesn't have a last name, by the way.
Carl Mears Group.
Less than half the meters. Might be too far.
y'all knew too.
Walter Brooks with ears. Brad people, no call concept located service.
I know we've got a bunch of folks online, so just remind everybody about signing sheet.
Yeah. Did everybody sign in on the sign-in sheet when they came in? much. I'll bring it back there. Well, I don't want you to have to get up and walk.
Maybe next time I'll be able to slide under the radar.
I don't know, that's tough with this group now. Well, you don't think you can get here on time, get here when you can. But welcome everybody. Killing me. Welcome everybody, and plus everybody that's online. Looks like a good group online also. You tell it's a rainy day and we probably got about 50, 60 people. Which is, I'm not complaining. For the new ones that doesn't know me, I'm Roger Richards with Sanders Utility, chairman of this committee, been chairman for 6, 8, 10, 12 years is what it feels like. I'm not 100% sure. Thank y'all for taking time out of your schedules to be here again. I know it is raining outside, and I hope that's not the only reason y'all decided to come to the meeting. Ann, you want to tell them who you are?
Sure. Ann Rushing, North Carolina 811. I think most everybody knows me. And once again, thanks to all you new folks that have come out today. I've had some conversations as of late, and hopefully with all these folks here, you can make some contacts, network, and should you need someone, you've got a face to a name and hopefully a phone number.
Did they answer?
Yes.
Do we have any veterans in the room? I'm not talking about. If you don't mind standing up, please. Our veterans, stand up, please. Don't be scared. Don't be proud.
Yay.
Thank you. Everyone knows that's what Monday was Memorial Day for our veterans, whether they're active or not. Thank y'all for what you've done. Now with that, we will.
We'll see.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought there was one there.
No, you're fine. So, may or may not do what I want it to do. Oh well. All right, I can see it fine on my end. I apologize for those online. I've tried to get it.
We can see it. We got it.
Okay.
We
All
got
right,
it
cool.
online too.
So the folks in the room get to see it. You cut me off. Okay. It stopped working. Stop
It
working.
was on.
Okay. David. Okay. I'm sure everybody can hear me fine. So once again, here we are. We're at the end of the month. It's hard to believe that June is upon us. It's been a crazy busy month. We've had a lot of great things going on. Of course, we just come off the conference. So that was a great time. Those that are here in the room who came to the conference, raise your hand. All right, nice. Did you guys have a great time?
Oh, yeah.
Did you learn anything?
Yes.
There were a couple times I didn't see your pretty faces in the room, but no, I'm just kidding. We had a great time. We felt like that, we tried to provide you as much information that would be valuable that you could bring back. So I hope you had a good time. And Lindsay can talk a little bit more about that. I did want to kind of give you some updated meetings that are coming up. We do have our Underground Damage Prevention Review Board meeting coming up. So when I get to another slide, I'll give you some numbers, but we did have to provide an interim meeting. And the reason being is because we have so many cases to hear. We've broken it down to try to level off to about 100 cases at a time. So we will have 100 cases to hear next week. So just been really busy trying to review those. I just want to remind you, if for some reason you can't work through your issues, then we do have that enforcement side. I would encourage you certainly to try to work those out before you seek that resolution. Our next NC 811 board meeting coming up is July 18th. That email just went out, so if you guys are interested in attending, it will be up in Asheville. we'd love to have you. If you've never been to a board meeting, I would encourage you to come and hear all about the State of the Union. As I mentioned, we just come off the joint conference. Do want to let you know that Lindsay's working on a survey, so we will send out a survey to find out what you liked, what you didn't like, what you think we could do better at. So next year, the conference will be held with South Carolina, and it will be down in Greenville, South Carolina. So put that on your calendar for next year. It's still going to be right around the same time, you know, in May. And so I think they'll add one extra day to their agenda, but, you know, please go ahead and save the date. And we look forward to that conference because, you know, these days are flying by. So April was certainly a busy month. One of the highlights of our month was we were able to have our Department of Labor, thanks to Roger here, NUCA has a really strong partnership with our Department of Labor, Luke Farley. So let's see if you can see, that's Luke right there. So if you've not experienced any sort of contact with Luke, he is really, really great. I think that you'll find that he's very personable. He cares about the people and he wants to come out and help you guys any way possible without putting the hammer down. So if you're looking to have them to come out, review your job sites, I would encourage you to get involved in that.
I'm a coattail on that.
Okay, I don't have the.
I'll try to speak up. Commissioner Farley, his biggest thing is for everybody to be proactive instead of reactive. And what he is pushing for is for companies and municipalities and
Yeah, not natural gas.
to contact them. If you've got a big project going on, you can contact their consultative services division and get them involved. And what that does is allows them to be on your project. And some of it is monthly, quarterly. It's all in how everything is set up. They will come out. They will go through your job site with you. And if they see anything, they're going to make suggestions or recommendations. I would highly recommend that you correct those recommendations. They'll do that for free, with 0 citations if they see anything. Now, with that, if they make these recommendations, they come back out, they make the same recommendations, they come back out, they make the same recommendations, your next visit is probably going to be from an enforcement side. Okay? But they're there to help. It's a free service. And guys and gals, honestly, it works out great. We didn't do the consultative services with them on the project. We actually partnered with them on one. And it was an educational 1.5 years for both sides. We learned a lot from them. They learned a lot from us because all they know is what's in that regulation book. As far as them seeing it in the field, they don't see that much, or if they do, it's maybe because an accident happened, or you've been on that dark list and they're out there to inspect you. It's well worth using those services. We pay for them. Everybody in here pays state taxes, right? You don't, and they get away with that, so I want to try it too, but it's a free service that they offer. All you have to do is contact them. So if you've got a big project coming up, notify them in advance. And what they're trying to do is they were like 6 months out. Or like if James contacted them, you know, I'm gonna pick on you because you said right here, that they've got a big project, what may be 6 months before they get back with James. What Commissioner Farley is trying to do, that thing just died again, is get that from a 6-month time frame down to a 90-day time frame. That's one of his goals, because he says that he feels like if a company's reaching out to them for help to keep their employees safe, they need to step up and be quicker at responding to that. So that's one of his goals, is to get that from 6 months down to 90 days. So, guys and gals, he is a employees commissioner. I'll get off that.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Roger. At the joint conference, we were able to have Lee Peacock there to give a report. And he did share with us a lot of the incidents that had happened as of recent. And just another reason, you know, as Roger said, to take advantage of those services. I know one of the last ones, if you guys heard, was about the dump truck that, you know, came into that work zone. So it's really tragic with those linemen that lost their lives. And so we just want you guys to really be focused on safety. This other gentleman on the end here is Jeff Zinger. And I'll let Lewis kind of, since he's on the call, I'll let him kind of follow up on our legislation and where it's at. But he was one of the co-sponsors of the bill, also along with Michael Lazara. He was also a co-sponsor. And this gentleman here, Jake Joplin, he is the chair of our Underground Damage Prevention Review Board. So we actually did a proclamation signing at the review board meeting that day. And of course, just to highlight, we've got Justice Everett in the rear there. He's on the NC 811 board. And then of course, our board president is Keith Napier. So lots of folks that were able to come out, and in the very back is Lewis. And so Lewis, I'm gonna flip it over to you and let you talk a little bit about the legislation.
Thanks, and yeah, actually several people there in that picture were instrumental in the work to create the bill. There's actually two bills. There was a House bill that Representative Zinger put forward, and then there was the Senate bill 328, which is the one that Lazara put forward. That bill has crossed out of the Senate, is in the House. Essentially what happens is they need to make sure that they're in parity. So there's a couple of things that were in the House bill that were not in the Senate bill, pretty minor things, but needed to be corrected. So it has passed its first reading. It's in the Rules and Operations Committee over there alongside about 380 other bills. But that's going to be the point at which it gets joined into the information from the House bill. We anticipate this moving hopefully relatively quickly. Certainly by the end of June, we would like to see this passed. The effective date of it becoming enacted will be October 1. So we're already preparing for the things that we expect we'll need to do to adjust the systems to accommodate a 28 calendar day ticket life versus a 15 working day. And those would begin from the work start, not from the ticket issuance. So that's one of the big pieces of it as far as NC 811 is concerned. There's a lot of other components. And again, hats off to NUCA and to Justice and to the group there for the excavators getting their pieces into it. They definitely, there was a lot of give and take in here. There's definitely good things for everybody. And there's quite a bit in there around enforcement in terms of some shoring up of some admin items and stuff like that. So we're got our fingers crossed. We're gearing up. As soon as it passes and gets signed, we'll be breaking it down as far as what those changes look like. You'll hear a lot more about that at the UCC's leading into that time frame. So just wanted to thank you guys for having that moment to think about this. And thanks to everybody who was involved. I guess we probably had 10, 12 meetings last year to get to this point, and we're excited about it.
Thank you, Lewis. Roger did ask me to kind of speak to the fact that with our new software coming online October 1, you will have the opportunity to do electronic flight lining. You know, as you know, nothing changed in the law as you know as far as that, but we will encourage that to utilize that electronic flight lining, and of course, hopefully everything will be up and going by October 1. And as Lewis said, we'll bring you training opportunities once we get the finalized law and we know exactly how it reads. We'll bring that to you and schedule, you know, if you want us to come on site, we can come directly to your company, or you can gain this information at the UCCs.
How many articles does this bill cover? Is it just Article 8 or is it?
Oh, yeah, it's just
Just
the underground damage prevention.
underground?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So there's quite a few changes. I know we had talked about it before, obviously, the time of the length of the ticket, where right now it's 15 working days, it will be extended to 28 calendar days. And so the work date will ping for the calendar. Lewis, can you let that person in? If you
Yes,
don't mind?
ma'am, I'm doing it as they come up.
Super, thank you so much. So yeah, that's one of them. There is a time period on some sort of response on emergency tickets, 3 hours. So there's a list of items. And certainly once we, finalize the law, then we'll put that presentation together and make sure you guys get that, okay? So moving on, I did want to go ahead, I slid this in here. This will be in next month's presentation, but since you guys are always at the end of the month, I figure I'd go ahead and give you some information. As a reminder, yesterday at the Wake UCC meeting, it was brought up and acknowledged that they're still not seeing the operator identity out in the field. So the law requires you to mark your facility, okay? So then you're to provide your operator identity. We have on our app, we do have a little section called Operator ID. And so if you provided that to us as an excavator, you're in the field and you see, it says something there, ABC Gas, you can go to that section, find the county you're in, find the utility, and then you'll know exactly what they are marking for the name of their utility. So just want to remind you that a lot of complaints that's not being done in the field, especially on the telecommunications side. As we all know, there could be 3 different, telecommunication operators there in that vicinity. And if you cut one of the lines, you don't know who it belongs to. So just a reminder, that is so very important that that ID be listed, especially when reporting damages. Of course, if that facility is greater than 4 inches or greater, then you need to mark that facility with the size every 50 feet, okay? So just a couple little reminders, and once again, we'll highlight you again at the end of next month. You can see how they listed it there. Yes.
We have questions on that? If they haven't identified it, and you've got 3 orange lines, but there's 4 utilities, everybody's trying to take credit for those orange lines. Is there a cause and effect if they don't identify it? Is there any repercussions or?
Well, you have the enforcement arm. We would encourage you to, obviously do that, because if there's a damage, maybe that third-party damage investigator is going to call someone out on that portion of the law, if it went on that end of it. But as far as the law says that the member is to mark with their operator ID. So
Yeah,
repercussions, there's a multitude.
Yeah, that's a good.
I just know often when we structure a telecom, the investigator shows up and marks to the nearest orange paint. Like, well, no, that's AT&T's orange paint.
Right.
So, yeah.
I think Lewis was going to say.
Were you wanting to say something, Lewis?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that's a really important point that Ann brought up. I mean, the way that the enforcement is set up, it doesn't even require damage. So if you know that somebody is violating the act, or whether that be that they didn't respond on time, whether that be they didn't lay down an operator ID, whether they didn't call before they dug, we see quite a lot of those. Even if there wasn't a damage, the way the law works is if it's an infraction against 87-122, you can file a complaint. And we see that happening in a lot of cases where, and and especially from the gas companies, because they have a strong push coming down from PHMSA through the Utilities Commission for them to report these things into, and that's one of the reasons you're seeing quite a lot of complaints come in. But you're also seeing them against operators that are failing to mark on time. So just be aware that it's a knife that cuts both ways for sure. But anything that you feel that somebody has violated, you have the opportunity to go online. You can actually fill out the complaint online as well. Make sure you know who you're identifying, and give that information, in the complaint, so that the review board can know who to reach out to, because they have to reach out to them within a short period of time to let them know a complaint's been filed. And I'll just leave it at that.
All right, then, that answers your question. So there's a multitude of ways, but certainly we do have the enforcement arm. We encourage you just to do the right thing. All right, so let's move into our locate request so you can kind of get an idea of where we landed. Through April, we were up 8.9%, 268,555. Guys, this was the highest volume per month in the history of MC 811. The month before in March was the highest, but then April became the highest. So
It's called National Dig Month.
absolutely. I like to say that we do a good job of making sure people know to call before you dig. But as one of those that sit on that enforcement board, we are still seeing a lot of complaints coming in for no one-call tickets.
Now,
So
with that, is that companies that's from out of state, or is that companies that's within state? I'm just curious on that.
no.
It's a
the ones
mix.
I've seen are
It's a
in
mix.
state. I'm sorry, go ahead, Jim. Jim, did you say in-state?
No, I'm sorry, it was me. I was just saying it's a mix. You're going to get in-house, in-state, and out-of-state, coming into that mix. So it's not, when we evaluated some of these no-call damages that were provided by the utilities for us, we saw people that actually do call in some cases, in most of the cases, but for whatever reason, in some cases, they chose not to. So it's really not so much of an awareness issue. At some point, it becomes a risk management issue. Where they determine that it's more important that they get out there and work without, for whatever reason, or they may just think they're exempt for that particular type of excavation, or they may think somebody else had called it in, but all those things play in, and if you're not on the ticket, if you don't have a legitimate, accurate locate ticket that's live, then you could certainly be one of those and especially if there's a damage, and especially if it's even a nick or anything that occurs to a gas line, you will likely find yourself in the enforcement arena. So just a heads up on that.
Yes, and because of that, we have a lot of cases to review. I'll talk a little bit more when I get down to the review board slide. All right, so this is where we landed for the month of April. When we look at year to date, we are also up 8.5%. And we are at 998,000 tickets. If we continue on, we're going to hit that 3 million mark. So once again, can't encourage you enough to manage your projects. That's the only way that we're going to try to take some of the noise out of the system, communicate. Another reason, Hoopah's here, I had a long conversation with this gentleman, trying to make sure he understood the process. If we can communicate with one another, try to get the work done on time, hopefully we can reduce continuing to update tickets. So that's really important. All right, let's shift
also
over to
the new law that I was just going to say, also the new law change will make a difference, because the extension of the ticket life, we're really hopeful that that's going to cut down on the number of updates. We've seen it in other states. When you look at it as a sheer percentage of the numbers of tickets, we are hopeful that that's going to make a dent as well, and hopefully provide some relief to on-time locates.
That's a good point, Lewis. And to add to that too, certainly I'm sure we're probably going to see it squeeze out somewhere else. And I know Bo's just sitting on the edge of
Is
this.
there any regulation on how many times you can update a ticket? Because I can call one in right now and I can update it tomorrow, right?
Correct.
So how's that going to cut down on updates?
So the life of the ticket will hopefully extend the work without having to update every 15 days. Now, once again, if everybody does their part, plans their projects, hopefully some of that stuff will be eliminated. Our hope is that, we're not gonna then see destroyed marks tickets. So just a reminder, you are required to protect those marks. So as an excavator, there's responsibilities on both sides, excavator and the member to mark.
There's some caveats in there. There's something that the excavators desperately wanted to make sure was in there, which was an acknowledgement of them doing basically safe work, following the rules. They shouldn't be necessarily penalized if they've done everything they're supposed to do. So that's one liability issue, the definition of due care being emphasized. And then on the flip side of that, excavators are not expected to call and work where they're not going to be, or before they've been released to do the work, or after the work's been done. So there is a provision in that new statute as well that addresses excavation tickets being created where the work is not happening. So those are some of the kind of pieces of it that we hope will drive the correct behavior, and we really do hope to see that happen.
And once again, we're here as a resource to you. If you're having problems, let us know. We can, do our very best with the education team to try to assist you, in communicating with everyone. Moving on to our transmissions, we were up 5.8% for April. Transmission-wise, 1.4 million. So a lot of transmissions going through. You'll see by these numbers. And then if we look at the year-to-date, we are up 7.3%. So almost 5.4 million just through the end of April. So a lot of transmissions. So once again, the service is paid for by the member utilities. So that's why we work so hard in many areas trying to reduce all the noise in the system. For the new ones. Oh, okay. For you new folks in here, and I won't belabor it, do you know the difference between a ticket and a transmission? Okay, good question. Thank you, Roger. Well, I'll go ahead and explain. All right, so when you call in where you're going to excavate, that's considered a ticket. On that ticket, there could be 5, 6, 7 utilities, depending upon where you're working. Those utilities that are listed on that ticket then in turn get a transmission of that ticket. So that's the transmissions, okay? So the members that are on those tickets, that's who it's transmitted to. On average is about 5.4 across the board, but you're doing work downtown city of Charlotte, you're gonna have a lot of utilities on that ticket. So one ticket, and then all the members that get transmitted, that's the transmissions. So for those transmissions, that's what the members are paying for. So just keep in mind, once again, to not just continually hit update. And then once you update it one time, then the next thing is retransmits. By that point, I say pick up the phone and let's start communicating, because you're just pecking away and not getting anywhere. So good question for you new folks. All right, so let's move into the volume. This is what Roger always likes to talk about. Interesting enough, compared to the same time last year, you're very flat. The good thing is the update tickets were down 3.5%, and the 3-hour tickets, wow, the exact same thing. What chances of that happening? The new ticket volume was slightly up, less than 1%, and we're at 17,425 tickets. A lot of tickets that get called in here in Mecklenburg County and Wake. For you new folks, on average, 1,480 tickets per day that has to get marked. So that kind of helps you in your mind to say, wow, these locators are being pushed to the max to try to get this work done. So if you can plan your work accordingly, to give these locators time, stretch your tickets out. Don't dump them all in the system at one time. Another thing is meet. If you've got a big project going on, meet with these folks in the room. We've got Piedmont, Charlotte Water, I mean, we've got all these different utilities here. If they're gonna be part of your project, go ahead and schedule some meetings with them, meet with them weekly, whatever you need to do to make sure these tickets are just not continuing to be updated, okay? Because I know there's a lot of frustration, and that 1,480 ticket per day, and now that we've had rain all week, it's compounded, so now it's even more frustrating. So that's why I said, do your best to protect your marks once it goes down. All right, so let's look at our year-to-date. Year-to-date, up 4.2%, already 117,000 tickets that have come through Mecklenburg County, just through April. Updates staying relatively somewhat up, but you know, it could be a whole lot worse, 7.4%. And then this right here is trending up. This is what we want to continue to bring down. We do have the Locate Resolution Partnership Committee. We did not meet last week. Those reports did go out to the top 5 members. I know Tim gets a report every other month for his things, for ANSCO, and it's just update tickets. He's asked us specifically to kind of create the report for him that has a job number on it. That way he can, you know, see if it needs to be updated or they can take it out of the system. So that's a really important part in what we do there. And then, of course, we take the issues that are pressing here and bring it back to that and start addressing it. We look at the 3-hour tickets. You know, where's it coming from? Is it, you know, related to damages? We talk about those. So I would encourage you, if you want to come be a part of that, you can hop online with that as well. We will meet again July 16th. All right, so when we break down all the distribution, you can see the bulk of the tickets are right here in Charlotte, 24,000. A lot of tickets that came through. Huntersville got a lot of work going on too, 3431. As you see, the next one, Matthews, Mint Hill, Cornelius, Davidson, Pineville, so lots of work going around everywhere. Fiber projects are continuing to stay strong. And as you see here, we do every month provide you a list of the top callers. So just in Mecklenburg, for Hoopa, if you guys went to to another UCC, you're going to get the top callers in that area. So this is for Mecklenburg Utility Lines Construction, 1,710. AT&T Utility Operations, those are typically drops that they themselves put in. And then Mears Group, you guys are on there doing work for Piedmont. ANSCO, you're number 4. Phoenix Fiber, let's see, Google, I think they do work for a couple different folks. Google, Frontier, Metro Tech, that's a Spectrum contractor. So they're up there on that list, number 6. Prince Telecom for Google, Piedmont Natural Gas doing work yourselves, and then Pike Electric, you know, all Pike and utility lines, they're doing work for Duke. So any questions on that? So that's where we rounded out for the top 10 callers. You can see who the bulk of the contractors that are placing the tickets. All right, so let's look at the damages. April, Mecklenburg had 169, Wake had 208. So I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that these are way underreported. And the reason I know that is as we are hearing those reports for the damages, as I'm coming across the reports with Jim Collins, Piedmont Natural Gas has placed a lot of no-call reports. We're finding that there's no one-call ticket and there's no damage report of damage. Occasionally here or there may be a report of damage afterwards, but these cuts are not being reported. So just a reminder, the law does require that you report damages. 2 places. 1, you got to report it to the operator, and then 2, report it to NC 811. We will in turn upload this data into DIRT, and then that way you can have access if you're utilizing the dashboard for CGA. So for the, once again, the damage is 169, way underreported, I feel confident. When we break down, we continue to offer up this visual to you. We've broken it down in damage per 1,000 transmissions. So as you're looking at green, yellow, and red, some of these smaller counties out east, they may end up red, but they have a lower volume of transmission, so it may throw them up higher if they have, few damages. So just once again, let me see where you guys are at. Oh, you're yellow, so, caution.
That's good, we're not ready.
But when you look at the volume of, the volume of tickets and transmissions, still way underreported. So I would encourage you to let everybody know they do need to report. So let's look at kind of the graph of where the damages are trending. We started up a little higher in January. We actually came down in February, and then we trended up. So that's where we're continuing. We are in the midst of peak season, so that's not surprising. Lots of projects going on. I know at the joint conference, DOT talked about projects they have. They also talked about fiber projects. So a lot of stuff that continues to filter into every county almost in the state. So just to kind of give you an idea of where we're at with the review board, I'm going to kind of jump back to January. So in January, we had 39 cases. Of those, we issued 18 pipes plus and $17,500 in fines. So that was January. Come April, when we met, we had 81 cases. We issued 64 pipes plus trainings and then $38,500 in fines. So year to date so far, we're at $56,000. As I had mentioned, we do have a lot of cases that we'll be hearing from Piedmont Natural Gas. So just, a reminder that, our pipeline operators are, going to be making an effort to place these damages within the system. So just FYI, we do have 100 cases and we've cut it off. And we will meet June the 4th, and then we'll meet again in July. So we're having to meet in between what the law is saying right now, or what we have said as a policy every quarter. So a lot of cases coming in, and once again, there's a couple things I'm seeing from them. One, and we'll share that next month, is grading. Grading, we are, from those cases, that was what really stuck out to me, is there's a lot of grading contractors, whether they're grading for a driveway or just grading the job site. We're seeing that a lot of grading going on does not have locates. Demolition, that requires a locate. So just a reminder, out in the field, if you see that happening, just see if they have a ticket. Because that is becoming more and more prevalent that we're seeing. A lot of it's in the neighborhoods. We're seeing, driveways going in, they're, putting their forms up, they're not putting in a locate, next thing you know, they hit a gas line. So they automatically, if a gas line's hit, the way our matrix is set up, you're automatically going to get pipes plus training if this is your first go round, and a $500 fine. You come back within a 24-month period, it happens again, you get a $1,500. Third time, $2,500, and then it continues past that at $2,500. So it can rack up pretty quick. So please share the word. All right, well, this is our team. I have the opportunity to fill in for Tammy today, and she'll be back next month, and we will take care of you guys from there. And of course, we're available anytime. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over because I think I've talked enough. Okay.
Just picking on the grading companies there, but I'm gonna try to pick up and just put down a lot of that's you little mom and pop outfits when you're talking about just driveways and stuff. That's not the magnitude that y'all do. So taking up for you on that one. No, just kidding.
We are going to focus on home builders. That is a focus. I've reached out to, I think there's like 5 or 6 chapters here in the Carolinas. So we are going to focus on those, and I've already got an email out to see if we can start attending some of the chapter meetings, because it does seem we need to get in front of developers.
When I say on those damages, you know they're not gonna call a damage in if they didn't even call a locate ticket in. I agree with you on that part right there. I did like when it was less than Lake County though. The ticket numbers is a big thing, but one of the things that I did like seeing was that the updates are going down. So that tells me that, and I'm sort of proud to say this, is Sam Gonzalez, who all remember Sam? You know, that was his big thing, was clean your own house. While y'all were at the conference, the joint conference, I was actually at Myrtle Beach. Guess who I ran into? Sam Gonzalez. I sure did. And we haven't seen each other in, golly, 4 or 5 years or so. So that was great to see him. And as soon as I seen him, that's all I could think about was clean your own house. And, you know, we stress that message, push that message is look at your tickets, don't update the tickets that the job's already completed on. And if I'm not picking on y'all, because I know that Ann said that she's been discussing that with y'all. That's a big thing. In years, I'm not picking on y'all. Y'all are new. If you can't tell us old people that's been in here a while, you see us picking and cutting up with each other. That's the way these meetings are. So I'm not picking on you or anything like that. But does the people in the field communicate back to whoever does the tickets that y'all have completed that job? And we're all guilty of not doing it. So it's not just y'all, it's not just Hoopa, it's not Sanders, Piedmont, oh, y'all was up there twice, just to let you know that.
I see.
I did. But that's one of the biggest things is make sure that communication is happening from the field to, I'm gonna say the office, whoever's handling the tickets, that, oh, I've completed that job on ABC Street, we don't need to update that ticket. But you put that in the system, we don't need to update it. How many of you company representatives is here, how many of you review your tickets on at least a monthly basis?
Tim back there?
Yeah, well, I know Tim does.
I look a lot of, not every time.
I mean, using the same boat together.
Yeah.
Mine ain't the quantity, yours is. The Sanders Utility is no better than anybody else. I don't want anybody to think that. We have a management meeting every 2 weeks, and every 2 weeks, that's one thing that we look at. Guy that handles our tickets prints out all of our tickets, and it goes to every superintendent in the management meeting. Now, they might be a meeting that no tickets is taken off, and maybe a meeting that 5 or 6 tickets is taken off. But we review our tickets at least twice a month. I would highly recommend that. Not every 2 weeks. I'm not, good Lord, that's a lot, but I enjoy it because it's free lunch. But at least once a month, someone needs to review the tickets versus the jobs that's going on. To see if we can take tickets off of it, not update. One of the things I was thinking about on this new law, not trying to compare us to South Carolina, but I wished we had that where you got to go in and close that ticket out. Because I think that way, that would help a lot also. Well, I've seen a lot of heads nodding on that. But I think that could help reduce some of the noise in the system. If we were going in there and canceling those tickets out.
Can't get people to stop updating them. How do you get them to cancel?
I know, right? We got to crawl before we walk, but we're getting there. I think we're past the crawling part now, where we're on baby steps. We're moving forward because the numbers is proving that. And
For now.
for now,
We'll see how May ends up.
we'll look good. The April showers that we're still getting in May is gonna bring flowers.
That's
you know.
right. Yeah.
But now June's coming around and they was talking about the heat and stuff. I was doing good till you said that. I don't like that. But if we can concentrate on our tickets, it's going to benefit every one of us because you see there's 1,480 tickets a day has to be located just in Mecklenburg County. So if we're updating tickets on projects that's complete, it's taken away from that locator getting to the projects that you have in process or wanting to start. So that's one of your main reasons to look at not updating unnecessary tickets. Major reason is it takes noise out of the system and allows everybody else's ticket to hopefully get located. And you want to say something? You had that?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah.
But really, that's all I've got on the tickets, to a certain point. The other thing on tickets is I've been getting emails requesting extensions for a locate ticket. How many of y'all gets those or looks at them or not? And I'll say it's the two that I got was on new tickets that we had called in. And I got an email the day they were due. It wasn't at 11:58 at night. Asking for an extension for them to locate that ticket. If you have any questions, call, we'll pick on Malcolm just for a second. Be like, call Malcolm, here's his number. So I called the locator and I'm like, hey, I got this email, yeah, we're not gonna be able to get to it. And I said, well, we did our part, we did the ticket. All states, you got 72 hours to locate it. We do not grant extensions. We've done our part, call that ticket in to wait, actually 96 hours. We expect that ticket to be done because we're just like anybody else here. We planned our work, we're gonna send that crew out there on that fourth day. One guy says, okay, I'll get out there. Thank you. Next one I call tries to partner with it, put it that way. I politely explained to him that the law states 72 hours. We've done our part, we did the ticket, we're waiting. You've got to do your part now. He explained to me that he knows the law. So if you know the law, then you would know that the law states you've got 72 hours. I'm trying to be, I can flip the switch and be that way real quick. And, well, I'll just do my best. I said, well, it's not located by tomorrow, we're working, I'm sorry. I planned my work out. You need to do your work. Well, it's 3 hours. Oh, the whole got out there and work. But that's the thing, is, I'll say one of the things. If the locate companies can't get them located, quit taking on more business and get done what you can get done. So, we all that attend these meetings do everything possible to be right, or to do things right. Now, we're gonna miss something every now and then, yeah, because I can tell you I'm guilty. Okay. If we're doing everything we're supposed to do right, and we're expecting locators to do their part, then they need to do their part. I know Ann was saying to the new people here, this is where you make connections and all of that. Some of them in here today, I probably put that man sitting behind you. We talked a good bit. But it's a benefit. Now I can call James also. But we have that relationship that we built coming to these meetings. You know, when you have that issue, you can do that. And Sam's great for Piedmont. I'm gonna brag on them, just to be honest with you. They're a great group. I can pick up the phone and call Malcolm, I can call Bo, and I can call Ray. And we got this issue. And I feel like being involved with this helps. It really does. So that's one thing with these meetings, but you know, the biggest thing is just get it located. That's all contractors or excavators or people's called homeowners. Or I could go on that one there as a homeowner. I called in a ticket and it was a week later before the locators came out. 3 days, a whole week. You know, as a homeowner, you've probably got a contractor set up to do a job, or you're paying somebody to do it. You do your part, because anything you buy at Lowe's, Home Depot, and all that has on there, they call before you dig. You buy a shovel, call before you dig. But, you know, we all try to do our part, and we expect the others to do theirs. And for a homeowner, if they don't attend meetings like this and they're not affiliated with companies that are, that looks bad. I'm gonna move up here on 811 side, because all they know is I gotta call 811 and 811's gonna locate everything. That's all the homeowner knows. They don't understand the whole process. So then it looks bad on 811. Contractors, you go out there and you strike something, homeowner comes out, whose fault is it? Your fault is the contractor. They don't understand the process. We can all work together and get through this, but that's the biggest thing. Is we're not all at these meetings. Chris, can I add something?
That's something. I just had a quick question, maybe more for everyone, but you mentioned the time frame in the state law. Is there anything in the upcoming law that addresses that time frame and any repercussions of not having it done? Does anybody know?
So, Reverend Richards really said it best in a lot of ways over here, but one of the things to know is that, yes, so by not hinging the life of the ticket off of the release or the locate expectations from the release of the ticket, tying that to the actual work start, we believe is going to provide some relief. So, for example, if Reverend Richards is putting in his request, but he's going to do his work next week, the 3 full business days for the locates will actually commence before the work start, not from the release of the ticket. Right now, if a ticket goes out today, those locators have 3 full working days to get those marks on the ground, period. Doesn't matter if he's called it out, you could do it 12 days in advance. Those marks could be gone at some point. So by hinging the actual locate responsibilities to the work and then the life of the ticket to the work, we believe that that's going to relax some of this pressure. This 8% that you're seeing, the increase, 8.5% on this volume, folks, we are the second largest volume state to Texas in the United States, as far as that goes. Now, I'm not saying that's not an excuse for the locators or anything like that. It's just a sheer reality of the amount of volume. When you see 1,400 tickets a day and that kind of thing that require locating, that's the reality. That's the reality on the ground. So we're very hopeful that by even just extending it basically a week, because you're talking 15 working days to 28 calendar days, it effectively gives you about a week. But just that 1 week, we believe, will take down those updates from running around hot, around 32%, 33% of those tickets, dropping that back. Also, putting some teeth around some of these issues about whether the work's actually being done or not being started on time. Hopefully that tightens up some of the noise in the system, as Ann said, some of the clutter in there, and allows people to focus on the actual work that's going to get done. We understand the psychology of excavators getting frustrated when it's a coin flip to get your locate done, to be able to start work on time. If it's a coin flip, the psychology of the situation tells you that those excavators are going to figure out ways that they can get around it. And that might be calling in tickets early to get the marks ahead of time. That may be calling in more area than they actually need. That practice doesn't help the system, obviously. It's understandable. I get it, but it doesn't help the process. And those things would be called out, or could be called out under the new law guidelines. So again, everybody has a shared responsibility to do the right thing. We hope people are planning their work out in advance, breaking up those projects into true bite-sized pieces of what they're actually going to perform within that time frame, and allowing for this process to work. It's tough. Yeah, we, like I said, we're experiencing, we're not alone in what we're experiencing in North Carolina in terms of volume, but we are seriously at 8.5% over top of last year, seeing a massive surge of activity. Now, maybe that'll smooth out a little bit, over time, but there's more broadband coming. So it's kind of hard to believe that it's just going to suddenly go the other way. What we do hope happens again, if we can drop that 32% update down to like 20, that's a big chunk of tickets that are not requiring the locators to be out there. So again, highly encourage everybody to sit tight if you've got any influence on getting this bill, to get through. It's already on a roll, but we're hopeful that this thing happens, and it happens, starts October 1. We can start to see some relief occur. I'll pass it back to the Reverend.
Thank you, President. Mr. Late Man wants to say something. But what I was gonna say is I'll walk back here. The best way to look at it is own your work and then work your plan.
Amen.
That's the easiest way to go. Go ahead.
So we deal with that, so we look at Georgia too, and they have like a touchstone way, already, people get work dates before the actual like business day, counting for the look at be done on time. The issue in Georgia, we now want to do the same in North Carolina, that there a limited time frame so you can call a ticket in, or can you call a ticket in, it's going to be due 6 months from now, and give it a due date. We ran into an issue with the Georgia.
Right. No, hey,
we look at it.
That's a great point.
Work day.
There is a time.
And not in the actual or two, the business conference, the location. So if we get it early, and we do it early, locating contractor is still technically not able to use those marks early until the business day. We can mark it 2 weeks early in Georgia, but we have to go make sure when the business day starts counting, it's still marked then too. So it's still double mark the locating contractor or facility worker.
If I could, on that particular point, the key on that is, I'm sorry, I guess I need that microphone over there.
Yeah, now
but,
go ahead.
But what I was okay, thank you, sir. That's a really good point. So in North Carolina right now, the law has a cap. It's 12 days prior to call it in. But because we're hinging the new law to the work start, we're removing that obstacle. So there is no front end period. So if you can plan your work out in advance, that's great. That actually helps the locators load balance and understand what they can expect down the road. We highly encourage folks to get a jump start. The way it's configured right now, if you call in that ticket 12 days in advance, it doesn't matter. Those locators have to be out there within 3 full business days of the release of the ticket. So having that hinge to the work start and taking away the obstacle of the 12 days should also provide some relief. We're very hopeful.
Listen, you clarify this for me. So if I do a ticket and my planned work date is not till, let's just say, a month from now, does 811 hold that ticket till?
No.
Okay.
No. We're going to send that ticket out when it's created. But the point is that the locators are managing their ticket flow through ticket management systems, right? So basically, they're looking at their workload. They're looking at what they have to get done in the next 3 days based on what they've received today and then whatever backlog they have. If you call that ticket in for your work a month from now, they're going to get the ticket today, but they're going to know they've got 2.5 weeks before they're even responsible to have to get out and mark that. So they can put that to the side and they can manage their workflow around the work that's actually going to take place so they can get their marks down the 3 days before the work, hopefully keeping them intact as well, so, and then from that point on, it becomes the excavator's responsibility through the 28 calendar days to protect and preserve those marks. Barring weather or something like that where they're destroyed, we'll still have a destroyed marks ticket. But, again, these are things that we're hoping that that open up the process a little bit more to some planning and to some controls that are allowed for locators to, I guess to better fill that time, with planning, if that makes sense. But we will
Yes, sir.
not hold the ticket. Yeah, we're not going to hold the ticket. We're not going to hold the ticket. We will send that ticket out when it's released, but it'll have a work start and then the validity date on that ticket, and then the locators will know to work 3 full business days backwards from that.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions on that?
I'm not running, so you wait a minute.
Alright. So if the ticket is there to be done on time, the facility owner will provide a prompt response within 3 days of when it's transmitted, or 3 days between the workday,
Before the workday.
before the workday.
Mhm.
Okay, so like the 72 hours, business hours, same thing, right? I mean, like, that doesn't actually start until 3 business days before the workday.
Correct.
But we can see it, we can.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, correct.
You got a contract with them, still a contract with people. Contract is before that, maybe 2 hours when it's called in. This is still.
So now locators,
Now I'm gonna worry about, okay, am I gonna follow the law or am I gonna follow the contract? You know, I mean, that's.
So now locators got 150 tickets in his bucket instead of 100 tickets in his bucket.
Well,
That's gonna cut down updates.
But here's something I ain't heard of.
one of the things I took out of that a little bit, though, just what I say is plan the work and work your plan. So if y'all work off of a ticket management system, then that should have it planned out.
It don't matter, they're not gonna be in compliance with their.
But that's like you said, though, that's between them and who they're contracted with.
I got a question.
All right, brother.
Been coming here a long time. I've never, ever heard them say anything about getting on the facility owner to get their tickets marked. It ain't about the locator. They want one, and the locators is what it is. Their deal is with the facility owner, because you can't go after the locator. Why are we not holding the facility owner's piece to the fire? Not that I'm talking bad on Robert or anything. Usually all you see is people.
So yeah, I heard, I could hear that.
And now Google.
No, I listen.
We're gonna have to start getting those convenience. Go ahead, you got something. You didn't call in a 3-hour notice. What's gonna happen? They're gonna be on you.
Now, those complaints are coming into the enforcement board. We are seeing some of those.
Well, I mean, everything's geared to.
And they're directed at the operator.
I've been on both sides of it. I've been on the locate side. I've been on the contract side. It's all gonna go down to holding these facility owners feet to the fire to get everything done in time. Yes, there's a lot of work. Everybody knows it, but we've been talking about it for the last 10 years. Every year, there's an increase in same story, different time. All I can say is it's sort of like your power bill. A power bill is $150 a month. This month you're going to pay it. Next month it might be $400. You didn't plan on that, but guess what? You still got to pay it. That's your obligation. You just got to hold these facility owners to it. That's the bottom line.
All right, well, let's go
Raise
ahead.
my hand. Thank you. I did raise my hand on that because listen, what the man's saying is not incorrect, but here's something to think about, okay? The utility operators, they are the ones who are responsible for, under the act, for protecting their facilities by marking on time. The other component to remember with this is probably 60 to 70% of the work that's happening is either by or on behalf of those operators. You feel me? It's not, I mean, the majority of the work, as you saw from the top 10 ticket creators, they're either doing the work to install, repair, replace existing facilities, but they're working for the operator. So they are an excavator. They are an excavator just like they are an operator. And sometimes I think we forget about that, but they have just as much skin in the game as an excavator if their work is being held up as the other excavators are if they've got deadlines to get such and such miles down, by a particular time. If they're held up, they're doing it, and they're holding themselves up in some ways. So yes, the operators are absolutely aware of their responsibilities. When the review board hears a case, it's not leveled at the locator. Those complaints go to the operator. If they fail to respond on time, they may pass that down the hill to the locators. They may pass that bill down based on whatever their agreement is, but the reality is the operators are on the hook for that. And they are absolutely the ones also being injured essentially by the delays, if you think about it. And so I just want to make sure that that's clear for everybody. I'm looking around, and Tim Yarborough is there, Hansco. There's several people here on the call from many operators. Operators are trying to put their stuff in the ground too, and repair and replace, broken tracer wires on gas lines and stuff like that happen. So there's a lot of activity that goes on, and you just can't put the us and them, well, the operators aren't doing their thing and we're excavators and this is BS. It's really not, that's not an accurate, fair way to approach this. There's no us and them, it's all we. We're all in this together. Mm-hmm.
Bottom line is, don't get your tickets for it. The tickets are marked on time, always numbers are going to be low. I mean, it's just call it a fact.
You're talking about holding facilities to the fire and everything, and I'm just gonna speak for us, but I know other contractors do it. In a way, we do, because if we cut a line that was mismarked or not marked, we bill heat mark. We can't bill heat. We bill heat mark for that. Now, do we ever see any money back on that? No. Oh, sure.
Well, if we can say, wait a minute.
But what we do on that is when we do hit one and it's our fault, we'll credit, BRG sends us that bill, we credit their account that they have an outstanding balance with us. These third-party collection companies don't understand that. I'm not going to get on that.
Yeah, this is James with People Natural Gas, and yeah, I agree. Phillips is even speaking on holding, the company that hired the locators accountable. I'm not going to get into that, but I heard the conversation. I was on the call, but from a gas perspective, as a utility owner, we don't want our facility damaged because it delays us in the process. If you look at, and I'm not going to go over numbers, but I'm helping out Joel at the same time. Your numbers was correct with our ticket volume. You were like a couple of thousand off. For central zone, it's like 27,375 ticket volume. The problem we have, and one of our top root causes that we see, is no notification made to the one call center. Nobody's calling 811, but they're doing the work. Cut tracer wires. I'm happy to hear that you're getting no builders grading. They're supposed to let us install the gas line to a new facility when they're at final grade. But half the time they're not at final grade. And then we install the facility, they grade the facility. Or they're destroying the marks. That's a hindrance to us. Now what we're doing on an internal basis is that we're responsible. We went to all our departments, construction and O&M, to make sure our utility is locatable. Things that we know about, we get repaired. We have Heat is making repairs on locatables. Sam is making repairs on locatables, and hopefully we can get it where Sam don't have to call them. They have to call in locates in order to go out and make a repair of tracer wire. That's another delay. We try to repair our facility. Contractors not potholing. Those are some of the issues that we're seeing, and that causes us heartburn too. We want you to be able to get the work done. We want our facility to be located. So those are the pain points. So we're working from inside out. You start inside the house, clean the house up first, make sure we got good, our designs or putting test stations out there from locators to locate. Contractors making sure the services they're installing that it's locatable. Making sure our records and stuff are good. So it's a constant battle. I go out and do observations on heat, and I do observations on SAM. I see, locators need to make sure they locate the full scope of the project. But when they're rushed, we can't afford to lose no more locators. We can't afford to lose locators. If we didn't have these locators, we would be in trouble, facility owners. Because facility owners trying to staff up to cover this amount of ticket volume. You don't do that overnight. And you don't teach locating overnight.
No.
So it's a constant battle, it is. But that's one of the things we're working on from an internal basis and trying to get some of these top root causes down, get guys to call in, and also grading. I'm glad you mentioned grading and meet with the builders. Thank you for that. Thank you, because we need that in order to keep our asset located.
Thank you, James. But you're right, it still goes back, we all gotta work together. And, at the end of the day, our number one goal is for everybody to go home. I hope that's everybody's goal in here. And one's online is for every employee to go home at the end of the day. And the only way to do that is to work together. If you bashing heads every day, we're not getting anywhere. You're not sure of something, call. That's just the easiest way to put it. We're gonna move on to damage reporting and stuff, since James has already started mentioning that. Yeah. Joel's not on there, is he? Jim is. I'll get to you in a few minutes. David, you want to go ahead and cover the cities?
Sure. Total damages for the city for the month of April. We had 4 P&G, 4 Spectrum, 1 Duke, and 1 AT&T. As far as our stuff, we had 12 water services, 9 water mains, 1 sewer main, 3 sewer laterals, and 9 hydrants.
That was the hydrant from Rex or what?
Yeah.
Okay. I was hoping to God a contractor wasn't getting hydrant.
You want me to finish this up?
You want to go or is Jim going to go?
I'm going to do it.
You go ahead.
So, I just mentioned this earlier in the conversation for 2025 transmissions located. Ticket volume for Charlotte was 27,375. Damages and top root causes are 3, was no notification made to the 1 call centers. Excavator done prior to verifying marks and not test holing, not spotting the line. And improper excavation, not listed above. So that was a total. Excavator 106, located 27, and then the unknown was 2. So we have a grand total of 135 damages by those root causes.
2 unknown. What is that?
It could be improper excavation practices not listed in that list. I have to. It's some other variables that were involved. Don't question me on it and give you an answer. And some of our top 5 damage activities, 38 was telecommunication, 38 damages. And then we have graders 11 on down. So far, the largest is telecommunication.
All right, I've got to back up a minute and apologize because one of the things I forgot to do through this before we got to this point was get Lindsay to give us just a quick little rundown on the conference and everything. I know Ann mentioned something about it. Let's get us from the chair and back.
Thanks, Roger. Yes, as Ann said, we did just have our joint NC UCC conference in Wrightsville Beach. It was a really good few days. I would like to thank Ann and Tim who are here, who are on our conference planning committee and helped me immensely with the planning and execution those few days. I think it was a great event. We had some really great vendors and it was very well attended. If you missed it this year, I really would encourage you to join next year in South Carolina. And as Ann said, we will be sending out a follow-up email survey, looking for feedback. I heard nothing more than good things, so I would really like to know what was maybe a downfall for you or something that you would like to see done better so that we can make it better for future years to come. And then a couple of announcements. We are taking nominations for the secretary position. If you're not familiar with it, it is a 3-year commitment. You start as secretary, and then year 2, you move up to co-chair. Year 3, you move up to chair of the North Carolina UCC. Ann's going to also be sending out a constant contact for me to have those nominations coming in. We received one at the conference, but we will leave nominations open for a little bit here, and then we will take a vote at our July meeting, which is Tuesday, July 8th, and it will be here in Charlotte. I am not sure if we have Charlotte Water Facility or Piedmont Facility, so I'll have to get back to you on that. Look for that communication to come, but it will be here in Charlotte. We'll vote for the new incoming secretary. We also, Sandra Johnson, our longtime treasurer, is going to be stepping down as treasurer. And we do have one nomination for that position. That is not a 3-year commitment. We're looking to amend also at that July meeting the commitment for treasurer, so that will have a little bit more longevity to it than just 3 years, because we want somebody to stay involved on that capacity longer. And it's important that I think that role kind of carries more than a very short term, if you will. So we're going to be looking at amending the bylaws on that in July, and we'll also take a vote on that position. That's all I have. Thank you.
No, thank you. You got anything from Sam?
No.
Since you got the since was already talking.
No. I'm going to let Bo do that. Bo can talk on Sam.
Kirsten, Robert, things I'm good. Blaine. Sick.
Yeah, breathe in and out.
Somebody back here and swear your topic.
I just want to mention that we've gotten some interest from municipalities to do, help them out with the fiber jobs that come into areas. We are helping some of them out. So if anybody has a first for municipality or someone who's having trouble with the influx of fiber tickets coming in their area, especially water and sewer, we have to help out with that.
So I know I'm kind of preaching to the choir with everyone here. I just got a phone call, one of the contractors at the gas line. It was, and I turned around. I'm keeping the circle, by the way. Hey, I appreciate that. So let's go back to education. I got a call, a nervous call from our inspector saying, I don't know what to do. I'm like, well, you don't need to do anything. You need to tell the contractor, make 3 phone calls. Because it's gas, 1, 911, because it's blowing. 2, the electric utility, and the 3rd is 811, let them know, hey, there's a gas strike. We don't have the information to give them that they need. It's the person who called in the ticket, who's physically on the machine, needs to do it. And I guess we need to find a way to write that message out. Everyone here knows, everyone that comes to these meetings knows, and it's already doing the same thing. But I guess it's getting the education out to more people so that if I get a phone call like this, it's a quick resolution, hey, I know that this is already been taken care of, I'm just letting you know.
You just said something, keep something, with me, Nick, and I appreciate you doing that. Because yes, it is everybody that's in here that knows, but are we confirming with our subcontractors that they know?
I think that's where the disconnect is.
I do take that, him and I'm gonna move over there. Don't y'all meet with y'all and discuss the whole problem, and I'll come to you. Okay. But I think that is a contributing factor, is we're not confirming with our subcontractors that they know the law and know to call 811 and all of that.
We didn't training, we just don't push that information out to whoever we hire. Yeah. No.
All right, to let everybody know, SNN is now two different divisions. It'll be SNN Infrastructure and SNN Locating, still under the same umbrella, but just two different divisions to let everyone know. We've increased our footprint down into the Mooresville area. Not ready to announce that yet, but there's a lot going on with us in the construction field. So SNN Infrastructure will be construction, SNN Locating will be their own entity. So just want to make sure everybody knew that we're dropping communications.
Thank you, Brian.
We don't have anything else?
That would be here.
I see, that's all you gotta say. Now, let's just over here trying to slide in under the radar, really, y'all see me, trying to get over here where the lights ain't on, come back, y'all don't see me over here, but guess what?
Yeah, y'all took my boss to North Carolina beach, and then he went on vacation. I just spent the last couple of weeks controlling everything, but, really, as always, I appreciate everybody coming out. Okay, since I was late. My name is Danny Dempsey. I'm the field located supervisor showing the water. For everybody online, everybody in attendance, I just want to say I appreciate you coming out. I wish that some of these other utilities would, they don't have to come every month, but if they could send a representative, because I think a lot of the issues that we have to be resolved, they were actually here and heard some of the conversation. But I especially want to take the time to give a big hand of appreciation to Heath in particular. Cody, you especially, I think our communication is great. Not only do we locate, obviously we're Charlotte Water, so we have infrastructure and we're calling in tickets. But I know there hasn't been one incident where I've got a crew out late when I'm on call and we needed something done. I reached out to Cody, or it might have been a mistake on the ticket. We got it resolved and the work was completed. So I especially want to say I appreciate you for all what y'all done.
And you contribute that to this meeting and making the connections and everything. I'm coming up here because y'all was y'all's first meeting. You just have to be here too. Tell y'all, I'll find lunch for everybody because it's first. Because if at least you got to team up with them, y'all split the bill, but that's how that's worked. There ain't no tax. It's COD, that ain't credit. No, I'm just kidding. Glad all here. Ray, you got anything else?
There is no trouble.
Oh, you was. I went out there. Look, y'all twins got to figure this out.
Damages. 2 spectrum lines, 1 Google, 1 AT&T. 5. None of them marked, ticket clerk doesn't mark. 3 hour notice, still didn't show up. 3 hours, 2 minutes.
You just talking about, email?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Explain some of the conversation you had.
Oh, Lord. You get a,
I should have skipped this.
everybody, I know you get these texts and you don't let me go.
Hey, no, I get emails. They
Well, they hear it still, you get a text.
I don't.
You got a road refund.
Did you know what Blaine just said? I got a rotary phone. I don't get text.
USIC sends that every ticket they do not get to. By 2 o'clock the day that it's.
What's that? minute.
We can get it done.
I can say it right here if you'll stop.
Says that there's a critical facility. We get out there, and there's a picket fire phone, picket fire main. It's still got irregular.
Yeah, they're asking you, please wait for any facilities to be marked and follow state. Now, this is what gets me. Now that I got to this point. Please wait for any facilities to be marked and follow state 811 laws when digging near AT&T facilities. But if we're having to follow it, why ain't they? But I don't get on text.
I have no issue with that message because it's a good notification. My issue is after I call it 3 hours and I get that message. Then I'm like, no.
And, phone calls do not stop. I mean, I call it a simple, in a subdivision, app. Phone, power, TV going to the app. They don't have to mark the gas, but we work with the gas. Where you working at? As long as we've been on the phone for 3 minutes, you could have had half of it done. Mark your power service, your phone service, and your TV service. Follow the rest.
White light.
See,
I swear that's the, we come back like, well, I don't see you white line.
And one, but keeping you away from these meetings, you wouldn't have all that built up at one time.
Well, I mean, I could play you a couple messages of it.
Oh, no, that's not.
Yes.
You know,
You probably don't.
that get my-
And we have been told, well, you guys are hand digging. Why do we even have to mark this stuff?
They better read the definition of an excavation.
Absolutely.
Because excavation is any disturbance in the earth's surface. That is the definition of an excavation.
Last Wednesday of every month.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with you guys. I mean,
We
see things that-
It's big enough.
we see things, not really, I have done, a lot of what we see is, excavator and locator. Agreed on. We've never talked to you.
All mine's covered, all mine's.
I don't, that's falsifying a legal document. The location of a legal document.
Other than that, I would have a lot, this is my personal in Mecklenburg, I've been to a meeting up in Iredale.
But you finally came to the best.
Well, we finally got invited, thank you, James. But I really don't have a lot. I don't. People want to have a lot.
I know you do. You just itching.
I got some conversation to have with you. No, I hear everybody, I hear what you're saying, you know what I'm saying, we're still not big enough, you know, we, some of the other parties, but as we're going to make sure that.
It's going, unfortunately, it's going to happen.
I mean, it's on the way, sorry, kind of. We'll definitely take what we're hearing here. It's good to hear.
But I will say on Google, we get that one Google drop, we called them, let them know. It wasn't 25 minutes, they said I rolled.
Take some ideas here. And it goes back to communication, building relationships and stuff like that. And I do appreciate you being here. What you just said, you know, that way carries a lot here. You hear what's going on, you want to work internally and all of that. That's what this is for. Got anything to add? I can keep going. I don't get them, so I'm curious, which I'm glad I don't get me wrong. I do get a ton of emails. You look like you just got something.
I don't talk
You don't
about
want to do that.
I don't talk
Hey,
about.
Roger, is your name and number on the ticket? Is your name and number on the ticket they call in?
That's why I don't get.
You may call the office, have that.
Negative. I get all of our tickets.
I don't have much to say. Again, James, thanks for inviting us. But I know from a damage perspective, right, you know, and we go out, the guys, they go out and they generally try to do a great job, right? But just a question I have, I know and I've asked it before, right? Not really ready to tell my age, but
I remember a time, right, when it comes to a damage perspective, right, you know, we're required to install this tape. You know, I would say, even in the event of something being mismarked or not marked, and the facility owners have, you know, said that everything was okay, just simple ditch tape. What has to take place to be able to get back to a world to where, I understand if it's bored in, right? But if it's trenched in and we could just, the conversation could be had to start installing that, that would save a lot of damages.
I'm not gonna disagree with you on that from an excavator standpoint.
Everybody's bored these days, so you can't put.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying, if they're trenching it in, let's put it in, but boring, that makes sense. From an excavator standpoint, I'm not telling my age either, I'm 25. But I can remember you doing that, you take a bucket out and you see tape and everybody stops.
That's right.
Oh, wait a minute.
That's right.
You know, I agree with you on that. That's, you have something to add because you were reaching for the mic.
No.
Okay. That's a good point. And again, I don't disagree with you on that because even the young, the 20-year-olds that's coming in since we ain't been 25, they see that tape, they know the stop is. So I like that suggestion. You done had your turn, but I'll be back up there.
Tremaine Beagle, one call Concepts. We located for the Charlotte Water, this is a portion of their territory. The month of April, we received around 11,000 tickets. Closed on time percentage is 80%, with 0 damages for the month.
I like that your report is. I was sitting here looking at it as she was reading. Okay. You got, how many tickets you got that month? The percentage of on time. This man ain't scared to say it. They ain't 100%, but you strive to be, and you're working on it. But you are honest enough to say, closed on time, we're only at that, and I hate to put it that way, but you are at 80%. I appreciate that. Instead of somebody saying, we're 100%, because you know that's a lie. But all the reports given, I like yours.
Why, James, why? No, but what you got? This question is for 811, and this may stir up a little. I'm not gonna stir up too much, but what is 811 stance on offset marks? I know about far as.
We don't have a stance on anything.
Okay, because
We don't interpret the law.
Okay.
We have some common sense conversations.
Right.
But, you know, I mean, offsets play a part. I think that even got brought up at the conference. But at the end of the day, as Lewis said, everything's a shared responsibility.
Right.
If, like the tape, that's a good best practice. Right. If you can put it in, put it in. If you can put offset marks, put them. Every little thing is going to help the overall process. Just, you know, just common sense. Whatever you can do to help that excavator go home safely, do it. Because at the end of the day, you can say you've done everything you can to make sure that it was a safe excavation. So, no, we're not going to interpret, but we'll have some good common sense conversations.
Thank you, Ann. I appreciate that.
Yes.
And going back to the tape deal, Charlotte Water requires trace the wire and tape. That's,
Piedmont requires trace wire tape.
that's right. Oh, now Robert's back up. Y'all heard that. He said that the whole time. All right, one's online. David Smith. Oh, dang that is you. Don't mess me up like that. All right, Jim Collins. I should have known that.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Only one thing I kind of wanted to explain was kind of why we've decided to submit all these complaints and everything to the board We did have a PHMSA audit. Actually, it was last May. And one of the things, it was actually for all 5 states. And one of the things they highly recommended was that we start submitting more complaints. So we started with no calls. So we submitted all of our no calls back beginning, I think starting back in maybe like November. And then this year, we started submitting anything that was a violation of the North Carolina law. So we're going to be doing that in all 5 states. We started in North Carolina first. I take that back. In Kentucky, we've been doing it in Kentucky for a while because that's required by the commission that all the damages get reported there. Tennessee, we're reporting on the locate damages. In Ohio, we're going to start reporting no-call damages there as well, and then also South Carolina. So hopefully, we're trying to do this. Hopefully, drive the damages down, and we'll see what happens. So just kind of the ones that you guys know why you're seeing a sudden surge in complaints from Piedmont Natural Gas in North Carolina, and that's kind of the reason behind it. So, anybody have any questions or anything on that?
Hey, Jim, just for the audience, I think one of the things that I've seen is potholing. Is that one of the complaints that you guys are going to be calling out on the law?
Correct. Yeah. If there's a damage and they didn't pothole the utility, then we will be reporting that. Yep.
I'm gonna sort of make a comment on that. Something to look at, if that's one of the things you're gonna look at, Jim, is potholing. And yeah, I know the law states every 50 feet. And I'm gonna speak for us, is we're backfilling and cleaning up. All of that's covered up. So the only potholes you would see would be in advance to the way that we're moving. And I had that discussion with a municipality because they couldn't see any pothole marks. Well, we've cleaned up and backfilled and all that as we came through. So that's just a suggestion I'm making, when these investigators is going out, damage investigators going out and say, oh, they didn't pothole, but we've already got it covered up. And we may have stopped there for that day. That's just some things from a contractor side I would make the suggestions on.
Okay. Yeah. Appreciate that. Yeah, that's a good point. And, if there was a damage, say PRG goes out there and, they say you didn't pothole, obviously, as you guys know, dispute that and, provide photos, say, yeah, we did pothole, we potholed and there was nothing there or whatever, so when you do see that, and I'm sure you guys will, submit your data and information to prove otherwise. So that's a good point though.
Actually, I'm not going to try to pronounce your last name. You got anything? Going once. Who's next?
David Talbot.
David Talbot.
Hey, I was just going to say, good meeting and Wednesday, a great conference. Just you guys stay safe out there. Thank you, Roger.
Thank you, David.
Rakeem.
Rakeem. Who's next?
Devin Wheeler.
Devin. Eric.
I appreciate the collaboration and the information update, but I especially want to thank you for keeping these meetings with the virtual access so those of us not in North Carolina can dial in and be a part of it. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Gary Jackson.
Gary Jackson. I'll hold that down there, hadn't I?
I enjoyed the information and it was great learning what was going on.
Sam.
Yeah, and thanks for inviting me to the meeting here. A lot of the stories that I'm hearing from some of the men in the room there, they're along the same lines of the same stuff that we're dealing with out here. Um, I'm totally on board with the fact that we're all on the same team here, but there's a lot of times here that I feel like our team is going over and above trying to get everything taken care of with communication, setting up meetings out there on the job site, calling in the mark outs, shortening the mark out locations, dealing with the locators directly. But to the end of the operators and enforcing them to get the locates done on time, the 3-day rule is a law, as opposed to the things that we're doing are recommendations. And my question is in regards to the revisions to the law that you're talking about coming out in October. Is there anything being added in there for better enforcement or more enforcement or some sort of enforcement for the operators that's got a little bit more teeth than what we have right now?
Enforcement's still the same.
I'm gonna say, unfortunately, the enforcement's still gonna remain the same.
Complaint based.
Yeah, complaint based. Lewis, I don't know if you got anything to add to that?
I think he had to hop on.
Oh, what, Bo?
South Carolina, have a little bit more enforcement over that? Did I hear that in that conference?
There, I just read something on that for the
Yes.
Yes,
It
there's.
ain't got passed yet. It went through the House, but it's not went through the Senate. And the fines are up to, I believe it's $25,000.
Yeah.
Well, it went through the House.
Depends on what state you're working in.
I need to go back and read it. But South Carolina something did just pass in South Carolina that had a monetary fine to it. I was just reading that this week. And I'll follow up and get back with you on that, but it was something.
But in North Carolina, there's no proposed changes.
No.
Not on the fee structure of the, Sam, no, not on the fee structure. As I had mentioned before, if you come before the board and it's not a gas line, you would get a Pipes Plus training if it's a first offense. Then it goes to $1,500 and then $2,500 thereafter until you come off of that 24-month history list. But gas, automatically you get a $500 fine from day one.
Why just gas?
Because of the gravity of it.
Power line key, probably.
Well,
Just as quick.
so those are the ones that we've dealt with. Not saying that we wouldn't, deal with that down the road, but volatility, gravity.
So
of
the
that.
point, at which a complaint should be filed, is it at the time that the 3 days are up and the utilities fail to respond? Or is it after calling in another 3-hour ticket after they have not responded?
Sam, I'm gonna jump in on that. Is if you've done your ticket and you waited to 72 hours, you went out there, you noticed or you have evidence of a facility, you've done a 3-hour ticket. After that, the law states that you have done your due diligence and you just have to dig with care.
Okay.
It's a judgment call.
It is.
It's a judgment call, and certainly you got to know what you're digging around. And if you don't feel comfortable, that's why we have the UCCs to develop these relationships.
Sure.
At the end of the day, that's what we're here for, is to communicate with one another.
Okay, so one other question in regards to more along the lines of the fiber and communication lines. There's a lot of interduct in the ground now. So utilities are getting changed out, upgraded, sizes changing, new utilities, old utilities, so on and so forth. So we've got a lot of old duct in the ground. Is there anything being done to look ahead in the future to know that, you hit a duct or there's a mark out way of doing the mark out or something like that that says this is an old utility versus an active utility? Or is the law going to become clear that there's to mark out the active utilities and stop marking both utilities.
So the North Carolina law does not address abandoned utilities. It's all, active utilities. So I don't know, is there anyone in here that even marks any kind of abandoned?
Sometimes not. No.
Well, it's, but see, I don't know if it's knowingly or unknowingly, because there are some issues of trying to get the as-built from the owners out to the locators themselves. So, as things go on, utilities come through, some of those updates and as-built don't make it out to the locators. We've seen firsthand on the locator's screen that they just don't have the utilities that even our DOT plans have. So it's knowingly or unknowingly. I'm just wondering if the law is going to make it a little bit more enforceable to make sure that the active utilities are to be marked out.
So Sam, once again, going back to enforcement. Enforcement is complaint-based. So anybody can call out anything on the law. If that's something that you so choose to, absolutely, you have the right to. From day one, we've encouraged folks to try to work it out, try to figure out what the problem is, the root cause of it. It could be boiled down to, like you just said, maps. If there was issues with maps, absolutely, go back to the member. The law does state that a locator shall notify the operator if the locator becomes aware of an error or omission in the records or documentation. So once again, that's a responsibility back on the locators to let the members know. But together, is mapping an issue? Absolutely. I know Lewis is back on and he can, address that. That's obviously one of the big issues that we're faced with. If they're, if you work hard on getting the maps right, then the locators, that will certainly help them do their job better.
Sure. All right, thank you.
You say Lewis was back on.
He's back on here.
Lewis, you got anything to add to that? Maybe just his name's back on. Okay. Mark? That's what I was trying to.
I can't see on my screen.
Is it Mark Momsen?
Yes. Mark Momsen.
Shannon's after that.
Shannon Loden.
Shannon, you got anything, buddy?
Hey, no, sir, I'm good today, thank you.
Thank you, Shannon. Ray? Not you.
Not you, Ray. Ray online.
Yeah, Ray online. We can't pronounce your last name and we don't even want to attempt it. All right, Heath, you got anything? Not you. All right. Again, thank everybody for being here. I hope the ones that this is your first meeting that help. Let us know, we'll help you any way we can. The invite's always there. We meet the last Wednesday of every month. So next month, I'm not 100% sure where the meeting is going to be yet, but it comes out on the invite. It's either going to be here or at Piedmont Natural Gas down on the NC.
Be here.
That's right, David.
That's gonna be here. You said here?
That's Piedmont.
Oh, okay. That's.
And that date will be June the 25th. Miss Ann's got some giveaways.
I got 4 windshield, nice little screens for you. All right. Lindsay, pick a number between 1 and 25. 17.
17.
All right, that would be Michael Baker. Winner, chicken dinner. All right, Blaine, a number between 1 and 25.
25.
That would be Cody.
I was gonna say that's
Shouldn't be
not.
last. All right, James Graham, give me a number between 1 and 25.
15.
15, Walter Brooks.
Hey, what's my number?
All right, Tim, give me a number of 21 and 25. 7. Elijah Smith. Very good.
Who had that? I'm sorry.
Elijah. Guys, thank you. Thank you. Good to see you guys. We didn't have anybody here from Badger, did we? No, we did not.
Supposed to be in another meeting.
Okay, I'm gonna make a copy of this and then.
I'm gonna, I hate to.
Okay, all right. Okay, good luck, and I'll get right, you're still on my prayer list, by the way. Yes, absolutely. I can't tell you how many people are doing the same thing you're doing. They're glad to have you, I hope you come back. All right, sounds good.
Fair to question, he goes there. So, once it passes out, 72
Yep.
If it's not been responded to, we call in the 3 hours. That's not responded to. We do.
You feel safe, but document.
We get meeting with AT&T a lot, and we've got one right now. We self-internal investigate as well. And to make sure we did do what we did.
Right.
And we're saying it wasn't when you're.
Are they trying to make sure parts are still there? Because part of it is protected. So if you're on an update ticket, document it, take photos.
That's what we do, yeah, we got.
I mean,
We take photos of everything.
yeah. You guys have your own locator for sweeping, just as a security. Good job. Model.
I have the book in my office.
Yeah, all right.
I made a note. Yeah, I just got that. I was looking.
So it's right here, 87-128, absence of facility. Okay, so that the law's changed a little bit on it, but basically it says, you've done your due diligence, basically. Neither the person excavating, well, first of all, the person excavating will proceed with the excavation. Now that's based on you doing your 3 days.
Well, that's what a lot of people do, is that due diligence, you've got out, you're trying to locate it, trying to say,
So it just says excavating exercises to care. Basically, you're not liable to the non-responding or improperly responding operator as long as you exercise.
no, I was going to tell you, I'll say.
Yeah.
We do.
Okay, great.
So it seems like since USIC lost the contract with the communication now.
You talked to Dan?
Yeah, and he's a partner.
Really?
So now, for example, like if you have Tremaine, we used to keep a text thread between like us supervisors on the water and USIC. So if we ever had any issues, like, hey, we got a crew still waiting on this. Like now, they don't respond to it. So we've been told directly, don't call us, you call our dispatch. So for example, last week.
USIC told you that?
Yeah, we have to call their, like, we prefer, like George basically told me in Santiago, don't call them directly, we need to start calling their dispatch.
Yeah,
So,
but they're located in BFE.
Exactly. So for example, like 2 weeks ago, I was on call. We had an emergency that came in around, let's say 2:30 on Friday.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I called USIC, called a dispatch. I didn't get it located until 10 o'clock Sunday. I talked to dispatch twice. We had people getting property damage. I talked to the dispatch twice. They're like, oh, we talked to Tex and Route. That was Friday. Talked to them again Saturday. That was Saturday. Talked to them again Sunday morning. This is all through the dispatch. It's like, oh, we talked to the tech.
Have you talked to Tracy Fripp?
No.
Okay, he's above Dan.
Okay. I'll get that information.
Yes, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, text it over to me now.
Yes, so Dan's gonna be in this area, but who's over him is Tracy Fripp.
Yes, because like even with the state, I didn't go to this past one. George went. He said he saw Daniel Robin in person.
Yeah,
and he said it was he was kind of like trying to avoid the conversation.
Really?
It's like, look, if you're mad about the business side, so be it. But we all got a job to do still, and we should be able to call you guys and say like, hey, we got a crew that's been waiting for a day and a half to get something that was an emergency ticket.
Well, I've been, so I know Dan's been on, I think he took some time off this past week, but I either hit him up, Sean White, depends on where, what area. But then, like I said, above him is Tracy Fripp.
I'll have George have a concept of like,
Okay.
If it's about the contract or whatever, like I have no control over that. But it's like we should still be able to talk to each other. And it's like we got crews that are sitting on emergency for 2.5 days because you guys have to come out and get the job. Come on, there's people getting property damage, and we need to fix this. And from our end, not even on the local, all they see is, well, Charlotte Water came out and they didn't do any work. They don't understand. Hey, we can't dig because we don't know where this power line is or where it's it's slowly creeping up. Like this is getting ridiculous.
Okay, I'll send you Tracy's information.
I greatly appreciate it.
Most months.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
Maybe find some information on because I don't necessarily look at this. It's like information like pull down, it's like break it down to contractor rights, excavator rights, things like that.
So I'm gonna give you my card. Shoot me an email, and then I will put together a list of things, because certainly we have a multitude of stuff on site. But I'm thinking, even the safety brochure, that's more of resources. I mean, you're wanting to get down into what happens with the law in regards to your excavation.
I'm more basically what our contractors have to write.
Okay.
I think none of them are personal. They are kind of hamstrung by the 8.1 process. In reality, there's a responsiveness. You got the right to keep.
So I'll give you a good example. Okay, so Duke. Okay, so there are contractors that work for them. They have a policy that says they cannot dig until they have clear positive response. Some of it boils back to policy. That Duke says, no, you can't dig unless you have clear positive response. The law says you are free to excavate with due care. So is that going to be a policy of Google?
So right now, our policy is we don't try to move without clear response.
So
what I want to do is compare our policy to what actual law is.
What actual law is, yes.
There may be circumstances depending on
yeah.
facility that we're putting in.
Exactly. So if you don't have clear response around a gas line, absolutely. If you don't have clear response around a transmission power line, absolutely, or high, right. Which, you know what, nowadays is not critical, other than the service line, you know, for water. Even, I mean, obviously, even gas service line is critical. So, you know, it comes down to a judgment call. You just gotta decide.
I'll probably put these exact same ones.
Okay. Yeah, please do, and I'll shoot you back some information.
Thank you very much.
Well, the main thing is we share information, you take it, you share it, and then that person shares it, so then that's how it gets out to the master. But I think that would I know, yeah, because then they're gonna get Yes, actually, that's in the law. After, I don't know if you hear down the okay, so there was a boring project going on at the gas line. At that point, and so then our law changed that. When you get a gas line, you tell your contractor, if they step, first thing they do is 911, they need emergency response. I first call 911, then the member utility, whoever they get. So if they get Piedmont, call Piedmont, AT&T, and then the third call for the gas station is called us.
You need to know first. 911 needs to know first. Yeah, the people who control the honors, they need to know so they can do whatever they need to do. 911 needs to know so they can do, okay, by the way.
When we get a damage, then we're going to send it out to all the utilities in the area. But also, what we do with that data is there's a national organization that tracks all of that information. So when it gets put in, it automatically gets uploaded to Common Ground Alliance. And that is DIRT, which that stands for Damage Information Reporting. So they look at all that data, and then you can go in on the dashboard, and you just want to look at North Carolina, you can look at, here's the number of damages for the year, here's the, what is the facility that was damaged. And when the damage occurred, this is what they were doing, they were putting water in. And the type of equipment that's used was back. So we can, I put a lot of that in the liaison, so that when they're at each of the counties, they have access to go say, hey, one of the biggest problems we're having is keeping the shovel. They don't know how to use the shovel. So that's in our excavation guide. We will not put it, well, let me give you out and inspect and people that don't have to put the shovel. They just say, put it in the dirt. No. you know, you guys did parallels and or postal, how to use that.
What's the matter? How long do I do this?
Well, you know, once again, it's all about, we all have a responsibility. You know, as we're a little older, we're mentors. So we've got to keep the people coming in. Because obviously you're seeing a cycle. You know, hopefully they're coming in trade, for trade school, you know, not necessarily a 4-year college. And we've got to bring them.
So,
You gotta educate them. Yeah, just because they're addicted, they gotta know how to use it. So, that's important to push that information. There you go. Awesome. You're welcome.